that it's all it's cracked up to be, and I don't really think that it's necessary. Why do you, Father, why do you keep thinking it's necessary? Why do you keep saying that it's necessary? Hi, my name is Father Mike Schmitz, and this is Ascension Presents. First off, I want to commiserate with someone who comes from that perspective, because my thought is not to read too much into someone's email if they write to me or they contact me somehow. But when someone has that perspective, typically I think it's coming from the perspective of someone who hasn't had that gift of friendship, of authentic friendship, of true community. And so it's kind of one of those, I'm doing fine. Why would I need this thing that I don't have? Because once you have it, like once you experience what family is, once you experience what community is, once you experience what a dynamic and actual encouraging friendship can be, then you realize, oh, this is important. Because here's the next thing. Because I think in some ways, friendship is one of those things that might not have a point. I mean, here, obviously there are helpful friendships, there's useful friendships, there are friendships of convenience and friendships of utility, right? That sense of like, we help each other, and that's great. That's the point, that's the use of those kinds of friendships. We talked about that in other places. In some ways though, friendship doesn't have a point. What I mean by that is, it's kind of like play, or it's kind of like art, that there's no point to really to play. I mean, you might say, well, I play so that I can stay healthy, or I play because, I look at art because, you know, it keeps my brain active or something like this, or I do art because it keeps my dexterity dexterous, that kind of thing. But in some ways, friendship and play and art they don't do anything. Like there's not a real utility that they add to life. And so we look at this and say, well, then what's the point? Like, why would you do this? Well, let's imagine life where we've taken out friendship. Let's imagine life where we've taken out beauty. Let's imagine life where we've taken out play, which actually might be a lot of us right now. We might be so isolated and so alone. Our lives might be so dominated by work that it's devoid of play. Our lives might be so dominated by utility that there actually is no room for art. There's no room for beauty in our lives. I would say that is the state of being for so many human beings right now in this world. And so we look around and say, well, what's the point? Well, let's see. A life without friendship, a life without beauty, a life without play. What is it? Well, you keep working. Well, yeah, why? To get more money, or to get more power, or to get more influence, to get more experiences. And that's what it seems like the goal of life. Again, without friendship, without art, without play, the goal of life becomes just get more, or just get through, right? That's it. Just get more stuff, or just get through this thing we call life. Because of this, things like friendship, or beauty, art, or play, might not be the thing that gets us out of bed in the morning, the thing that we're living for, but they give meaning to life. They might not, I mean, in some ways you might say they might not be the meaning of life, but they give meaning to life. And because of that, when I don't have play, when I don't have art or beauty, when I don't have friendship in my life, I might actually be missing the most important things in life. Because, as you've heard it said, I'm sure 1,000 times, the most important things in life aren't things. So, is there a deeper reason why we would need things like friendship or community? And the answer is not only because friendship gives joy to life, and friendship gives kind of that spice and that again, another layer to our being able to enter into life, but also because it's what we're made for. Let's go back to Genesis, right? At the very beginning of the Bible, what happens? God looks at, he makes man, and he says, let us make him in our image and likeness. And chapter 1 says, male and female, he created them in his image and likeness. Later on in the Bible, Jesus reveals that God is Trinity, right? So here is human beings made in God's image and likeness, meaning we can think, we have an intellect, we can choose, we have a will, we can love, we can create. But above all, we're made in God's image and likeness. And what's at the heart of God's identity? The Catechism says that Jesus reveals the deepest identity to God, and that is God is an eternal exchange of love, a communion of persons, that God is love. And that means this: if God is love, and if you are made in God's image and likeness, what that means is that you are made for love. So when someone asks me, what's the whole point of friendship? What's the whole point of community? That is actually not just to add spice to life, not just to add colors to life, not just to add dimensions to life, because that's the whole purpose that you're alive for, is to become a gift of love. In fact, John Paul II, he once said, St. John Paul II, right? He said, man cannot live without love. Without love, man remains a mystery to himself. His life is senseless if he does not experience love and make himself a gift of love in return. That our life doesn't make any sense unless we make a gift of ourselves. That's one of the reasons why when I say friendship is the point of life, is not because it means like to be loved, but to be a gift of love. Yes, of course, we can only give what we've received. And so in that case, if I've never truly been loved by someone in that free way where they just choose you, where they just say, I want to spend time with you, I want to become a gift of myself to you, even just by spending time with you. If you've never had that experience, yeah, it's a painful reality. But you can actually initiate that. Because why? Because the Lord God himself has already poured out himself and his gift of love into your life and into your heart. You've already been the recipient of infinite, fathomless, unstoppable love. And because of that, you can become a gift of love. And if we don't, our lives remain senseless. It doesn't make any sense. We remain a mystery to ourselves. So the young man who wrote to me and said, why should I have friends? Why should I want to be part of a community? It highlights this reality that it didn't make any sense to him. Because that's true. Life without love doesn't make any sense. I'm not talking romantic love, it's a whole other thing. But living without becoming a gift of yourself, of oneself, to anyone, doesn't make any sense. So my invitation is first to receive God's love, to go into your chapel, go in front of the Blessed Sacrament, go to Mass, and just be in the Lord's presence and say, okay, God, fill me up with your love. And then, Lord God, show me, point out to me who in my life right now can I become a gift of love for? Because until I do that, my life will remain senseless and I will not know who I am. I will not even know what I am, and I won't know the value of this incredible gift of friendship. But what do you think? I mean, does that make sense? Does it make sense to is it even possible to become a gift of love, to become a friend if you've never truly been chosen as a friend, to choose someone first? Maybe that could be the thing, but again, keep this in mind, God has chosen you first. So write that down in the comments below. Maybe that might help things. Anyways, from all of us here at Ascension Presents, my name is Brother Mike. God bless. God notices, God cares, and
Okay, now hopefully you guys enjoyed those two videos that I thought they were very interesting, different points of view, but it covered everything from our perspective of how, that's how we created it as an image of God, and we have a lot of love to give. We gotta take the time, the courage to go ahead and share that with all the people that they need it. Okay, so anyway, rule 6 from the book, it's called Make Friends. And I'm going to read from the book because there's got some examples that they shared with us, and it says that in chapter 1, there was a study done by Harvard, and with 268 people over the course of 75 years. Find out what will make people thrive in old age. And what they found out, it's that it wasn't money or the good genes. They made them that they made them they make, like I said, making private knowledge, but it was actually joy. It was not the money. And sometimes people think, hey, the more money I have, I'll be happy. No, money doesn't. Money only buys material things, but it doesn't buy happiness. So it doesn't buy joy. Okay, so and also the Harvard do another study, and it said it turns out that money is not money, it's not fame, it's not success, or even health. It is friendship. So friendship is the core living a thriving old age, and also of being having a joyful life, being happy as you get older, and being happy on a daily basis. And as you are happy, your health, you're going to be healthier. Your frame of mind, your optimism, your you're when you get up in the morning, you'll get up with a different uh, like the different purpose in your life, because you feel with love, and you want to share that with other people. And as it also states in the book that, and you probably, some of you, I'm older, I'm a lot older than a lot of you, but I remember when I was younger, my mom and dad, then they have to tell me, hey, go outside and make friends. I went out. It was there was nothing to do in the house, so you go out and you go play and make friends in the neighborhood. You make friends in your school. So nowadays there's a different trend. A lot of the younger generation don't have that opportunity to. I should say that they don't have the opportunity. They have the opportunity, but they make a choice not to go out and make friends in the neighborhood. They make friends online, which is a social through social media, which is a way of them making friends, but it doesn't have the personal and the warm, the feeling of being close to somebody face to face, or next to that individual. It's a virtual, and it's not the same thing. And I think that's what a lot of the kids nowadays are having: social issues or mental issues or um, psychological issues, because as like I said, they don't have the same interaction that a lot of the old generation used to have with kids around their age, even adults. So one of the things that we need to do, and we need to kind of not push, but at least tell our kids to make friends, especially at school, because there's a lot of kids out there that are lonely. Uh, Probably what the only other thing that happens as a parent, I used to be skeptical with the kids of them talking to strangers, to other kids that we don't know who their parents were. We don't know what kind of moral values that they were raised with. So I was skeptical to let some of my kids hang around with some other kids that I didn't know. But I should have taken the initiative at the time to meet the parents and find out what was their upbringing at home. And I think that's one of the things we need to do as a parent, have the interests and the friendships that our kids make, not just judge them based upon the looks, but go up there and actually look and inquire, is that friendship good for my son or for my daughter? Are those parents, do they have the same values that I have? So if I allow my son or my daughter to be with those kids, I'll feel comfortable, because they'll feel the same way toward me. There was more studies on the book continues that there was more studies that show that loneliness is literally toxic. It says the increased mortality associated with loneliness is equal to the increased mortality we see with smoking 15 cigarettes a day, greater than the mortality associated with obesity. That's right. So it says smoking and eating bacon every day with friends, it's healthier than being lonely. But also states, not that he recommends that, because even you eat a lot of stuff that is not healthy for you, you ended up you become sick, and then your health goes downhill. And also it states in Haiti, the mission that he worked for, real life Catholic, started an orphanage. While working with orphans, they found old people dying alone in the hills and the forest. So they started a home for the dying to give people a comfortable bed to die on. And a miracle happened. The kids from the orphanage started coming over and playing with the elderly in the home for the dying. And to their disbelief, they stopped dying. Can you believe that? Older people stopped dying because there was now they had a purpose. You know, when you get up, they had a purpose. There was kids. They're expecting those kids to be there so they probably could talk to or make them laugh or just having that desire to see somebody alive. It says that what was a hospice became an old age home where people live to a ripe old age. And you know, and that's amazing. I have during the years that I work in my previous company, GTE, I went to do work at certain homes that were retirement homes, and there was a lot of old people that they were retired or they were living in those assisted living homes, or and they were left alone. They were not they were kind of discarded. They were not loved as human beings. They were put aside like an old toy, and it bothered me for the fact that using people that they just wanted you walk by and they wanted to talk to you, and some of the staff did not like that. He goes, "Don't leave him alone. He's working. You know, let him. You know, leave him alone." And but that is something that is coming right now. This is happening now. It is happening here in the U.S. and probably in other countries as well. But I know that in parts of I know in some other countries, the younger generation, they allow their parents to be with them until they die. They do not go into a retirement home. So they're able to enjoy the company of their family members and their grandkids or and other family members that come by to see them. So they get a chance to live a long life with the love that a human being brings along the way when they talk to somebody else with the closeness, with the whether it's a hug, a smile, or even when they get mad, there's still you feel the sense of a human being that is there, the relationship. Also, it did another study and it says that over 75,000 women, or they said there's over 75,000 women was done over 16 years, shows that those who attended church more than once a week had a 33% lower risk of death from any cause over those who did not attend. And those who went just once per week had a 26% lower risk of mortality. It says kind of gives I came so they might have life, a new little level of meaning. Another study found that people who go to church regularly live almost 4 years longer than people who don't. Said no doubt that's because a half faith gives people energy and hope, but it is also because church is a place where community happens. And of course, it is not hard to see how friendship is also spiritually healthy. You know, when we talk about going to church, I know that Nina, Jose Luis, and all of you, you know, talk about the Eucharist and being able to go to church on a daily basis and makes you feel better. Spiritually, it's like it's the bread of life. It's like an extra vitamin you take on a daily basis that keeps you going. That you're in like in a different level, different frequency when you go to church on a daily basis because you are close. You are feeding your soul with the food which is of Jesus Christ, His presence. And I think that like the study says here, you know, people that go to church, they live longer, and that's because Jesus lives in them. There's more love to give. There's more love that they're going to absorb or be refilled. As like a battery. You're a battery, and you go to church to recharge the battery, so you have more to give, more to do. with other people you don't know, whether it's family members or people you don't know. You have more capacity to share more love with other people. Friendship, a spiritual pillar. And it says a great analogy for the spiritual power of friendship can be found in the world's largest trees, sequoias. Sequoias are the biggest trees on earth. The famous sequoia is the General Sherman tree. The circumference is over 100 feet, and it stretches almost 275 feet into the air. They're humongous. They're huge. And it's estimated the weight of 6,167 tons. The fire-resistant bark of a sequoia can be up to 2 feet thick. It also states that some of the sequoias on Earth today are over 3,000 years old and are still healthy and growing. It also states that, but why? And it states also about the most shocking thing about the mighty sequoias is their roots only go about 5 feet deep. And it says, how you ask, how can a mighty tree stand with such a shallow roots? And it's simple. Their roots don't stretch deep, they stretch wide. They interlock with a forest of other mighty trees. Just so, the only way to grow into our full stature as children of God is to be connected with other Christians at our roots. So the communities or church it is important for us to really have, for our roots to go interlock with other believers, when we go to mass, when we go to a congregation there to praise God, to worship, to give thanks to God. Said Jesus did not talk about this. He modeled it. He loved everyone, preached to the multitude, invested his life in the 12, and leaned on the three, Peter, James, and John. Few things could be as important for our health and happiness as friendship. But it's not easy. Let's dive into how to push through the struggles and form real life friendships. How to. The soil where friendship grows, it's time, intimacy, and mercy. Put in hard time. Friendship takes time and effort. And it says that this rule might be the easiest to grasp, but the hardest to live. And that is very true because we are so busy at work. We are so busy on social media sometimes that we don't take the time. We don't make the time, which is the most valuable asset you have, to invest in friendship or relationship with somebody you love or you want to or that you care for. Said the human mind is hardwired to choose comfort with the least effort possible and to avoid pain. And they said friends don't fit that paradigm. They can take a lot of effort. And it says, you know what does fit the low? You know what does fit the low effort, low risk paradigms? Online friends. So yeah, making real friends face to face takes time, and you have to make the time to do so. Whether it's a phone call or getting together with your friend, or once in a while, but you have to seek that face to face relationship. And the least amount is online friends. Those can be done very easily, but how deep are the roots to those friendships? They're very superficial. They don't stretch that wide. And that's why those friendships are going to be rocky. They will not be steady like a true friendship when you take the time and you invest time on that friendship with somebody you care for. And it says that when you feel the discomfort of loneliness, do you A, call a friend and have coffee together? B, scroll on your phone until you have drowned the loneliness for a moment. And it says that more and more people are taking option B, which is just getting a phone, going through TikTok, going through Facebook, going through Instagram, and just being entertained, which is very superficial for X amount of time, so they don't feel lonely. But that is not good for the person. It's not good psychologically nor emotionally. It's not good for the person. It says digital connections are real, but they are not deep enough. Virtual Virtually every study on IGN shows that the more phone interaction replaces face-to-face interaction, the lonelier people become. So the more time you spend on your phone with your friends, it takes you away from really seeking friendships that take time to really establish them and to make them grow. So the truth is that making real friendship takes away more time than a fast text, snap, or retweet. Making friends requires setting aside distractions to converse or share an interest. The problem is you are busy, but you have to make time for what matters. For your emotional, physical, and spiritual health, you have to make time for friendships to grow. So set aside time on your calendar every week to connect with one of your friends or the same friend for coffee, a phone call, or some other shared activity. So that's something that we can do. And we have bad habits. We have grown into bad habits over the past quite a few years with social media. So we need to get away, break those bad habits, and start making friends. Invest time with your friends. Take the time to call them. Take the time to set time aside so you can actually spend quality time with those friends that you care for. Be intimate. Real friendships, intimate. But also says that misperception is probably why many men end up lonely. 63% to be exact. They fear that a deeply loving relationship will imply romance, and that is wrong. It might also be why so many teens end up and mesh in physical relationships with friends. The human heart needs intimacy, and if no one asks teenagers to the dance, she might turn to her friends to get the intimacy she needs, but in the wrong way. Friendships should be intimate. That's how Jesus did friendships. Jesus didn't tell the apostles, you guys are my work buddies. He said, you are my friends. John 15:14. To his friends, he said, I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you. This is my body. Luke 22:15-19. He didn't say, man has no greater love than this, to snuggle with his girlfriend on Valentine's Day. He said, greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friend. John 15:13. To his friend, Peter, he said, do you love me? To which Peter replied, yes, Lord, you know that I love you. John 21:15. Now there's an awkward conversation between two dudes, but they were no less manly for it. Can you tell your friends that you love them? I do all the time. This is that author. So how often do you tell your friends that you love them? I know it's probably people think that you are funny if they hear you saying it. But when you do it, if you do it from your heart, and you people sense that when those words that come out of your mouth, when they come from your heart, they're not going to judge you. We say I love you. It's meaningful. It has the power behind it. It's just not saying it. I think that really the biggest difference. Because we have the tendency to say I love you too much, but not really. It comes out of our lips. It doesn't come from our soul, from our heart. And I think that's one of the things we need to start being conscientious of that. When you tell somebody you love that person, say it from your heart. Say it from within your soul. Don't just do it from your lips. That's not good. It says, I want to give you a secret formula for forming deeper friendships. As a spiritual discipline, I want you to get together with 1 to 5 friends once a month. Grab a cup of coffee, pray, do a small group Bible study if you want to, but be sure that conversation lands on the secret formula for creating friendship. And it says, get out your pen and write this magical phrase down. Ready? Here it is. How are you? Remember, how are you? So when you ask somebody, how are you? It has different meanings behind it. Because you conveniently actually say, how are you? Okay, how are you physically? But how are you? How are you? How are you emotionally? How are you spiritually? How are you? How is your life going? And when you develop those friendships, that friend you have may need somebody to talk to, and you'll be there to listen to them, to help them, at least let them, just let them kind of, sometimes people just want to talk. You just got to be able to be a good listener. You don't have to talk that much. And it says, what is God doing in your life? Or is it maybe, what are you grateful for? What are you struggling with? Or how do you want to grow? The bottom line is to check in deeply so that you can know and be known, and like the squad, you can hold each other up. I think that it also says that be merciful and let things go easily. It says also, how do you have long-term supportive relationships with people who are bound to annoy you? And this word, in the words of Elsa, let it go. If you wanna, if you want to have a friendship with somebody, sometimes friends are not the easiest ways to get along with, but you have to love them. No matter how they are, you still have to love them. Invest the time with them. Is the only way to grow in friendship over time is to forgive easily. Refuse to let unforgiveness destroy your friendships and your joy. Unforgiveness is like a worm in your mind. So don't let those little uneasiness of somebody maybe getting to you ruin a friendship they can flourish into a great friendship. If they offend you, maybe they might have had a bad day. Maybe they might, if they say something that you're not comfortable with, maybe they're going through some sort of trouble, some sort of struggles in their life. So you have to be understanding, be a good listener. You make mistakes, like I said, sometimes we're not perfect. You are You can make mistakes as a friend, and same thing with the other person. So don't judge the person because you are doing the same thing. Look at yourself in the mirror when you're prejudging somebody else. It says forgive. You gotta forgive as God has forgiven you. So forgive those people when they have offended you. Not because people deserve to be forgiven, but because you deserve the freedom of forgiving and the joy of friendship. In the Lord's prayers, we say, "Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors." When someone wrongs you, they are indebted to you, but just as they owe you, let it go. You have a right to hold on to your anger for the rest of your life, but you only have about 30,000 days to live. Don't waste any holding grudges that can destroy relationships in your life. You might deserve to hold that sin over your husband's head for the rest of his life. You might deserve that your kids treat you better than they do. And you are entitled to friends who don't rub you the wrong way. But above all, you are entitled to happiness. People aren't easy. Get over it so that you can experience the blessing it is to have long-term, meaningful, supportive friendships with other people who are imperfect as you are. And that's the conclusion of Rule 6 on make friends. It's a very short chapter, so I encourage you to read over it when you have an opportunity to do so. And like I said, invest time, take the time. If you care for somebody, take the time, invest the time. And sometimes who's your best friend? If you're married, who's your best friend? And for example, I'm married as a husband. My wife is my best friend. You know, if so, I need to, and I'm saying it, but I need to make that time. I need to put aside the time, value the time that will be my friend. And she's my spouse, but she's my friend. But also too, like I said, other friends that we have around us. So spend time. Don't let it don't let the time go by and have regrets later on in life. Friends don't come easy, but when you find a friend, they'll be a friend for life. So anyway, God bless you all. Thank you again.